What if the wildfires you thought were natural disasters were actually part of a calculated plan for profit? Barron Trump, a young man caught in the middle of a web of greed and corruption, dared to uncover the truth. His journey would not only shake the foundations of a powerful corporation, but also make him a target of those who would go to any lengths to protect their secrets. This is the story of how one man's quest for justice changed everything. But the real question is, how far will they go to stop him? Here's the rewritten version with significant changes to ensure originality while keeping the core story intact. When wildfires ravaged Los Angeles, Barron Trump uncovered a disturbing truth. As devastating wildfires swept through Los Angeles in early January 2025, many pointed fingers at nature. Strong Santa Ana winds fueled the flames, leaving over 10,000 structures destroyed, claiming 11 lives and displacing more than 180,000 residents. The inferno turned neighborhoods like Malibu and Pacific Palisades into ashes, with landmarks like the Will Rogers Ranch obliterated. Amid this chaos, the Trump family arrived in California for various engagements, with 18-year-old Barron Trump in tow. While his father, President Donald Trump, attended a fundraiser in the city, Barron explored Los Angeles under a smoggy, orange-tinted sky. As he followed news updates, Barron noticed something peculiar. The fire ignition points seemed to form a deliberate path, a pattern too intentional to ignore. Intrigued, he began mapping the reported locations of the fires using publicly available data. What emerged was alarming. The fires appeared to follow a sequence, suggesting they weren't entirely natural. Despite initial skepticism from local officials overwhelmed with managing the crisis, Barron felt compelled to dig deeper. Encouraged by his parents, but warned to stay cautious, he reached out to experts and authorities. Yet, his findings were dismissed as coincidental or unnecessary. Undeterred, Barron pressed on, visiting evacuation centers and listening to survivors' harrowing tales. In Santa Monica, he met a mother who narrowly escaped with her children and a man mourning the loss of his vintage car collection. These encounters fueled his resolve to uncover the truth. As Barron's investigation deepened, he uncovered a web of secrets suggesting foul play behind the fires. The sheer scale of destruction, the charred remains of luxury homes, the haunting silence of burned neighborhoods, and wildlife seeking refuge in backyards, was unparalleled. Images of firefighters collapsing from exhaustion underscored the human toll of battling the relentless infernos. Barron's journey to uncover the truth was just beginning, but it was clear he had stumbled upon a conspiracy that others desperately wanted to keep hidden. What started as an attempt to understand a natural disaster soon spiraled into a race to expose a sinister plot that threatened to consume far more than just the city. One moment stood out for Barron Trump during his visit to the wildfire evacuation centers, a conversation with a seasoned firefighter. "It's like these fires have a mind of their own," the man said, shaking his head. "In 20 years, I've never seen anything like this. Fires are starting in places they shouldn't, almost out of nowhere." These words cemented Barron's suspicion that something unusual was at play. Determined to uncover the truth, Barron spent hours scouring online forums and social media. He discovered posts from others who had noticed the strange fire patterns. Some suspected arson, while others speculated on corporate greed or secret land acquisition schemes. One video caught his eye. Grainy drone footage from Pasadena showed a bright object falling from the sky moments before a fire ignited. Barron saved the clip, his heart racing. Could this be the proof he needed? Back in his hotel room, surrounded by notes, maps, and screenshots, Barron analyzed the footage frame by frame. The object appeared for only a moment before disappearing into the brush, immediately sparking flames. It was unsettling. Cross-referencing the video with fire department updates, Barron mapped the ignition points. The pattern was undeniable. Each fire followed a clear trajectory, moving from rural outskirts to densely populated neighborhoods. Barron's investigation led him to property records. A curious pattern emerged. Several fire-affected properties had been purchased months earlier at inflated prices by shadowy corporations. One name surfaced repeatedly: Solvista Holdings. Little was known about the company, but its land acquisitions raised red flags. Why pay top dollar for high-risk properties? Barron called his sister Ivanka to share his findings. "It doesn't make sense," he said. "Why would they buy this land unless they knew something we didn't?" Ivanka cautioned him. "This sounds serious, Barron. If you're right, powerful people might be involved. Be careful." Her warning only strengthened his resolve. The next day, Barron drove to one of the hardest-hit neighborhoods. Among the ruins, he noticed anomalies: a row of trees untouched by flames surrounded by scorched homes, and a concrete wall with burn marks on only one side. He meticulously photographed everything, but unease crept over him. A black SUV with heavily tinted windows idled at the street's edge. It wasn't an emergency vehicle. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, Barron uploaded his findings to a secure cloud drive. Later that evening, he shared his discoveries on a private forum, hoping others had noticed the same irregularities. Little did he know, his investigation was drawing attention from forces that would do anything to keep the truth buried. Barron Trump's online findings sparked immediate responses. Some users thanked him for shedding light on the anomalies, while others shared similar accounts from across California. Yet, one reply stood out: "You're closer to the truth than you think. Be careful who you trust." The ominous message sent a chill down Barron's spine, shifting his excitement to unease. Sitting alone in his room, Barron reviewed his evidence. Each clue pointed to a deliberate, orchestrated plan, but the questions of who and why loomed large. Aware of the risks, Barron decided to take his investigation offline, worried his digital trail might already be compromised. Armed with a burner phone and a notebook, he began interviewing residents in fire-stricken areas. His first stop was Agoura Hills, where temporary shelters housed evacuees. Outside a community center, Barron met Jack, an older man who had lived in the area for decades. "This fire was different," Jack said, his voice raspy from smoke inhalation. "They usually zigzag unpredictably. But this one? It burned like it had a target in mind." When Barron brought up Solvista Holdings, Jack's expression darkened. "Yeah, I've heard of them," he said cautiously. "They've been buying up properties for months. Nobody thought much of it until the fire tore through here." Jack's words unsettled Barron, but similar stories echoed as he spoke to others. Residents reported strange occurrences in the days before the fires: low-flying drones, unmarked trucks, and even loud explosions late at night. In Thousand Oaks, Barron met Elena, a woman who had fled her family's ranch. She showed him photos she had taken, one of which stopped Barron cold: a burned site with perfectly circular scorch marks, as if multiple explosions had occurred simultaneously. Another photo, though blurry, showed a drone hovering over her property, a small canister attached beneath it. "I reported it to the authorities," Elena said, her voice filled with frustration, "but they said they were too overwhelmed to look into it. It felt like they didn't care." Barron's mind raced as he connected the dots. Could drones have been used to ignite the fires? It seemed far-fetched, yet the precision of the burn patterns suggested otherwise. Determined to uncover more, Barron decided to dig into Solvista Holdings, starting with the company's leadership. That evening, he sat in his dimly lit hotel room, piecing together the clues. The deeper he delved, the more sinister the picture became. Barron was closing in on the truth, but he was also drawing the attention of powerful forces, ones that wouldn't hesitate to silence him. Barron Trump continued his investigation, visiting the downtown Los Angeles Public Library to dive deeper into corporate filings and news archives. There, he uncovered the identity of the CEO behind Solvista Holdings, Victor Grayson. A low-profile figure, Grayson was linked to various energy and real estate companies, many with questionable practices. Barron's research revealed a history of lawsuits against Grayson for environmental violations, including illegal fracking and land contamination. One article shed light on Grayson's aggressive lobbying efforts to relax regulations in wildfire-prone areas, aiming to fast-track construction projects after fires. This was more than just a tragedy. It was an opportunity for profit, as clearing fire-ravaged land could pave the way for lucrative redevelopment projects. As Barron's investigation progressed, A chilling realization crept in. He was being watched. The black SUV that had appeared earlier near the library was now tailing him again as he left, following him as he walked to his car. The closer Barron got to the truth, the more dangerous his pursuit became. Heart-pounding, Barron drove through the dark streets of Los Angeles, the black SUV's headlights looming in his rearview mirror. Desperate, he took a series of sharp turns, weaving through side streets and alleys. Finally, he ducked into a crowded parking garage, parked near the exit, and hid behind a pillar. He watched the SUV pass by without stopping, his breath catching in relief but still shaken. Clutching the folder of documents he'd retrieved, Barron knew the evidence he had was crucial, but he was unsure how to proceed. The authorities had dismissed him, and sharing the findings online could escalate the danger. Barron needed someone trustworthy with more resources. He remembered Linda Moreno, an investigative journalist known for exposing corporate corruption. After a quick search, Barron found her contact information and sent an encrypted email detailing his findings. The next day, Linda agreed to meet him at a cafe in Pasadena. Listening intently, Linda absorbed the timeline of the fires, the suspicious land acquisitions, and Solvista's possible role. "This is huge," she said, her tone grave. "If what you're saying is true, this could implicate some very powerful people." Linda promised to help Barron verify his findings and use her network of sources to dig deeper into Solvista's activities. But she also cautioned him. "These kinds of stories make powerful enemies. Be careful, Barron. You're in over your head." Their conversation was abruptly interrupted by the sound of a car screeching around the corner. Barron turned to see a vehicle speeding away, its tires leaving a trail of smoke. Linda's face went pale. "That's no coincidence," she said. "We need to move." Over the following days, Linda and Barron worked tirelessly to uncover more evidence. Linda leveraged her connections to dig deeper into Solvista Holdings' activities, and the pieces of the puzzle continued to fall into place. But with each discovery, the stakes grew higher and the risks more dangerous. Linda and Barron's investigation had led them to a shocking discovery: internal Solvista emails revealing a scheme to fast-track rebuilding permits in fire-affected areas. One email in particular stood out: a message from Victor Grayson discussing how to accelerate the process and ensure that sites were cleared swiftly. The implications were undeniable. Someone was deliberately starting the fires to force residents out and clear the way for profitable redevelopment projects. The audacity of it all left Barron and Linda both furious and resolute in their mission to expose the truth. But their efforts didn't go unnoticed. One evening, Barron returned to his hotel to find his room ransacked. Papers were scattered everywhere, drawers left open, and his laptop had vanished. A single note was left on the desk: "Stop digging." His heart sank. Barron immediately called Linda, who urged him to come stay with her for safety. "They're trying to scare you, but this just confirms we're onto something," she said. Despite the threats, they pressed forward. Linda began drafting a bombshell exposé, piecing together everything they had uncovered about Solvista's corruption and the deliberate destruction of communities for financial gain. But as the deadline for publication loomed, Barron couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The walls were closing in, and he knew the consequences of exposing the truth could be grave. On the day Linda's article was scheduled to go live, Barron woke to an alert on his burner phone. The encrypted email account he'd been using to communicate with Linda had been compromised. Panic set in. He tried calling Linda, but the call went straight to voicemail. Anxiety rising, Barron rushed to her apartment. When he arrived, he found the door slightly ajar. Inside, her workspace was in disarray. The walls, once covered with notes and printouts about Solvista, were now bare. Her laptop camera and notebooks were gone, but one sticky note remained on her desk. It read, in bold black letters, "You've been warned." Linda was gone, and so was much of their evidence. The only remaining backup was in Barron's encrypted cloud storage, but he knew it wouldn't stay safe for long. Clutching the folder of documents he had kept with him, Barron fled the apartment. Desperate for help, Barron reached out to his father, despite his reluctance to involve his family. The situation had escalated beyond his control. "Dad," Barron said, his voice trembling, "I need your help. This is bigger than I thought." Donald Trump, known for his connections and influence, listened intently. "You've got guts, kid," he said finally. "But you're right. This is dangerous. I'll make a few calls, but you need to keep your head down, and Barron, don't trust anyone." That same day, Barron received an encrypted message from an unknown sender. It contained an attachment labeled Proof of Operation Phoenix. The file included damning evidence, detailed plans for orchestrating the fires, complete with schematics for the drones used to start them, and emails from top executives at Solvista discussing payouts to complicit officials. The message ended with a chilling warning: "Release this, and you'll never see daylight again." Barron knew he couldn't keep this information to himself. He forwarded the file to Linda's editor at the investigative outlet she had worked for, along with the story they had drafted before her disappearance. Within hours, the exposé was breaking across major news networks, revealing the calculated destruction of entire communities for financial gain. The story implicated Solvista Holdings and set the stage for an explosive public reckoning. A lasting impact and the road ahead. The public reaction to the exposé was explosive. Protests erupted outside Solvista's headquarters, with people demanding justice for the families displaced by the fires. Federal authorities launched a full investigation, and Victor Grayson's name became synonymous with greed and corruption. However, the fallout wasn't without consequences. Barron's life was turned upside down as he became a target for media scrutiny and personal threats. His father's advisors urged him to stay out of the spotlight, but Barron remained resolute. "People need to know the truth," he told reporters in one of his rare public appearances. Despite the mounting threats, Barron's efforts led to sweeping reforms in land acquisition regulations for wildfire-prone areas. Solvista's assets were frozen, and several top executives were indicted. Yet Victor Grayson remained at large, reportedly fleeing the country to avoid prosecution. Though justice was beginning to unfold, Barron couldn't shake the warning he had received. The shadow of those behind the fires still loomed large, a reminder that revealing the truth often came with a heavy price. In the weeks after the scandal broke, the world watched as investigations into Solvista Holdings intensified. Arrests were made, and a growing movement emerged to reform wildfire prevention and response strategies. For the first time, the public began to view the fires not as an uncontrollable natural disaster, but as a deliberate act driven by greed. Barron, however, kept a low profile. While his name had become widely known during the media frenzy, it also brought ongoing threats to his safety. His family arranged for him to relocate to a secure location far from Los Angeles until the situation calmed. Though Barron appreciated their concern, he couldn't escape the weight of what he had uncovered. He spent his days reflecting on the lives that had been shattered by the fires. Families who lost homes, firefighters who risked everything, and communities torn apart. Yet, amidst the tragedy, Barron saw a glimmer of hope. One afternoon, he received an email from a woman he had met at a shelter. Her family's home had been destroyed in the fires, but thanks to the public outcry and the donations sparked by the exposé, they were able to rebuild. "Thank you for what you did," the email read. "You gave us hope when we thought we had none." Though his journey had been fraught with danger, it had also shown Barron the power of standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. He realized that his actions had sparked more than just outrage. They had inspired change. In the months that followed, new legislation was passed to regulate land purchases in high-risk wildfire areas, ensuring stricter oversight and accountability. A task force was also established to investigate the use of drones and other technologies in criminal activities. While these measures couldn't undo the damage already done, they were a step toward preventing future tragedies. Barron's experience left an indelible mark on him. He decided to channel his energy into activism, using his platform to advocate for environmental justice and corporate accountability. Though his life had been forever changed by the events surrounding the wildfires, he found a renewed sense of purpose. "The truth matters," Barron said in an interview months later. "It's up to all of us to make sure it comes to light." The story of the Los Angeles wildfires serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of courage and conviction in a world where greed and corruption often go unchecked. It takes individuals willing to ask the hard questions to uncover the truth. Barron's story shows that anyone can make a difference in their community. So consider the actions you can take to bring about change. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more important stories to light. Together, we can shine a spotlight on the issues that truly matter.